1. Awesome. Alright. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Hourglass, More Than Tits and Ass. I'm your host, l.shima. Welcome, episode 10. This is going to be awesome. I don't really necessarily have anything news to share or anything that happened this week other than I found a really awesome boutique in Corktown, Detroit, literally earlier for lunch as we were leaving Mudgie's, and we found, or at least I found, Francis found like some nice bracelets and stuff. I found these badass shades, and Francis mentioned like I should probably wear it for this episode. I even thought about it too before he even told me to, or like suggested it and everything. But I put them on prior to starting, and I realized, especially for the computer's sake and what the webcam shows, you can see the reflection. You can basically see exactly what I'm seeing, and even if depending on where I put my head, you can see the lights. I wasn't 100% sold on wearing the glasses for this episode, so I'm taking them off, but I found this awesome pair of glasses at this awesome boutique. Very realistic prices, not expensive at all, so it's kind of like a place that I love. So thank you everyone for showing up. I am still on Tumblr. Go check it out at l.shima.tumblr.com. Tumblr is the same with every other social media that I have currently right now. I'm not on it as much, but I have a lot of imagery queued on it. So every day on Tumblr, there's going to be a new photo. Instagram and Twitter, I still kind of am working with what photos are going to be automatically posted and everything like that. But overall, all of my social media, I'm still there. It's just I'm not on it as much. So I'll try my hardest to check a few messages or DMs or anything that I may have throughout the week or whatever. Anyways, all right, guys and gals. So this episode, I want to kind of inform y'all how I produced my own shoots. And you ask, have you got engaged? No, I have not got engaged. We always talk about marriage, but that's neither here nor there at this moment. But yeah, back to the actual topic itself real fast. I wanted to basically give you some information on how I produce my shoots. Everyone's going to be different, and when it comes to what I'm going to discuss tonight on this episode, it's more about what I do and my way of handling it as a model. So a lot of things that I share with you tonight, it's going to be, if you're a photographer, you can use this for your own sake and just change it up a little bit, especially the words I use. So instead of reaching out to photographers as a photographer, you'll reach out to models. Or if you're a makeup artist, you do the same thing. You just kind of change some of the words. So use whatever I share with you as a structure. If you think how I handle producing shoots works for you, use what I say as a structure, and it can go with whatever type of career you have as far as organizing gigs in a sense. So I know my phone is like the hardest thing to like get right. So let me just try to balance. Okay, I think that's as good as it's gonna get. It's gonna be a little crooked, so I apologize everyone on Instagram. Also, everyone on Instagram, I actually wanted to mention the things that I'm going to share with this episode. A lot of it's actually going to be showcasing or showing on my computer screen. So you won't actually be able to see what I am showing, such as certain emails that I might pull up or certain imagery that I might show. And I might grab the phone briefly to maybe show something. But if that doesn't happen, sorry, but you can always go on Twitch, twitch.tv/l.shima_model. You can always go to Twitch and see the visuals there, or you can stick with Instagram and just watch me. And you also have the benefit of doubt to wait for the actual episode to go on YouTube, and then you can watch it on YouTube. So you have choices. You got things to work with. But otherwise, yeah, Instagram, I'm sorry, you might not be able to see what everyone else is seeing on Twitch or later on YouTube. So just, kind of, yeah, just know that that's going to happen. I'll try to be as detailed in the way I speak as far as what I'm doing and showing, so you technically won't be really missing a lot. You just won't be seeing as much for obvious reasons. So, all right. Let's see how I want to begin. I got my handy dandy notebook. So when it comes to producing shoots, everyone is different, like I mentioned already. Some individuals like to book things on the phone. Others like handling with emails. Some like actually calling and discussing certain things along those lines. Thank you for the compliment. And so everyone's different on how they organize their shoots and their gigs and whatever the case might be. I personally love handling my work through emails. I'm not that type of person to book things through text. I realistically actually hate doing it that way. That's just something that is not really a good flow for me. It doesn't always necessarily save those texts sometimes, especially if my text or my storage is very high. Sometimes I'll delete texts, and just even typing is really hard after a while, especially when it's like long detailed responses. It's not really fun for me. I'd rather be on the computer and emailing somebody. And same kind of honestly goes for the telephone. A lot of individuals I've worked with want to discuss details on the phone and, you know, start asking about rates or quotes or whatever the case might be over the phone. And I do personally like that a little bit better than texting, but still with the phone, it's not my favorite. One, because I don't feel like I do very awesome talking and being on the phone. But two, also, it's because I can't save what is discussed on the phone, other than recording it, but I'm not going to do all of that. I'd rather have a place on my emails where I can keep going back and forth to check what I missed or what time this starts or whatever was discussed, and have something to go back to. So that's kind of how I like to work. Everyone's different. You'll eventually find your niche and what makes you work easier than anything else. So like I said, I'm just going to show you how I personally organize and set up my shoots. So to begin, basically, because in my head I'm like, even trying to prep for this episode, I didn't know how to what to show and what exactly to say. But when it comes down to it, a lot of times when I decide I want to do a shoot, a lot of times it happens when I'm traveling. That's when majority of the times I'm like, okay, I need to book a shoot. Let's get this nailed and figure this out. So the first thing I usually do is, the biggest thing is finding the photographer. Or again, if you are a photographer, finding the model. Or if you're a makeup artist, whatever, finding both of them. So finding a photographer for me consists of going on Tumblr, going on Instagram, going on Twitter, going on every social media you can possibly imagine. For a very, very long time, especially on Tumblr, I took the time to just go in like a huge rabbit hole on social media and find all of these creative photographers from all over the world. Like, no joke, even in Australia and Europe and down south, like just in every place in the world. If I appreciated the work and I thought it was great, I saved their name, their link, and where they were originally from. So when I was going to decide to travel to, say, Australia, I already had a list of about 10 photographers that I could reach out to. Is there any sites, groups, or communities online for modeling? I get a lot of gigs through Facebook groups. So my biggest platform, especially with starting with modeling, the biggest one that I used was Model Mayhem. That's probably the biggest modeling site itself. Facebook is very helpful, but I don't use Facebook anymore. But I do know a lot of individuals that use Facebook and the Facebook groups to find things. I know also a lot of artists use Instagram to find their models, or to, you know, get certain gigs and lineups and stuff along those lines. Tumblr isn't necessarily as big as it once was, but Tumblr still can be very beneficial, especially if you're really deep into it and you know how to search for certain things. Tumblr can be very useful, and same for Twitter. I feel like every social media, you can use it and find something. You just either have to, like for Twitter, for an example, do hashtags. Like hashtag the city you live in, photographers, or hashtag Detroit photography, and then look at what Twitter or Instagram is showing with that hashtag, and then kind of just like, not really stalk, but like kind of look, okay, I see this person hashtag this exact hashtag that I wrote. let me see if they can associate with some group, or if they are a photographer or a model and I can work with them. Whatever the case might be, there's always, every social media has an outlet to help assist you on finding more gigs. And so I've used them all, honestly. Twitter, not necessarily as much. Twitter, for me personally, I use that just more to follow people that I just want to hear what's going on in their life. Instagram, I'll definitely use. And same again for Tumblr. Like I mentioned, for the past 6 years, I've saved so many photographer names and even model names, but not as much. So I already have a list basically set. And sometimes that list is actually, it's kind of outdated. I've reached out to like New York photographers from that list a couple years ago, and a few of them are like, oh, I don't do photography no more. And it's like, oh, all right, gotta cross you off. You're not ever gonna happen. So definitely, if you do use that route, is saving an entire list from everyone from Australia to Europe to Nashville, Tennessee to Los Angeles, California. Make sure you do like keep it up to date just in case. Worst case, you're just gonna message them and they're gonna tell you, hey, I don't shoot anymore, or they're just never gonna respond. Shit happens. So yeah, the biggest thing is finding a photographer. And like I said, hashtagging is a great way of finding people in your area, especially, or if you're going and traveling, doing it that way. And I'm sure Facebook does the same way too as well, where you can probably search, you know, Memphis photography group or something along those lines. And I've done that before as well, especially like in Toronto. I signed up, or I tried to sign up to a few Toronto groups to just let them know, hey, I'm going to be traveling, yada yada yada. Same goes for Model Mayhem, actually. That again is the biggest modeling site. So you can make travel notices, you can do casting calls, you can do searches by the city and depending on the radius as well. And exactly like a specific look. So if you're a photographer and you're looking for a 5'7" model that is black and is like not super skinny but kind of curvaceous, I'm sure you can do that search based on bust size and waist size and skin and all that fun stuff. It gets really more detailed on Model Mayhem, and plus they need to be models and makeup artists and all that fun stuff to even be on that site in the first place. So you kind of already brush past the ones that are like Instagram models or just people that are not a model or a photographer at all, and they just are like hobbyists in a sense. So, alright. That's basically kind of the gist of how I find photographers and even makeup artists. That's the same idea that I use for makeup artists, hairstylists, and wardrobe designers or stylists. When it comes to makeup artists and hairstylists and that side of the team, I more use Model Mayhem for that because it's a little bit more easier to see who's up to date. And I don't necessarily follow that many makeup artists, hairstylists on social media, except for the ones that I've already worked with. Because, again, like you've seen in, what episode was that, like 7 or 6? I'm not huge on doing my hair and makeup to begin with. I don't necessarily follow any YouTuber blogs when it comes to hair and makeup or anything along those lines. So I don't necessarily know who's, you know, a huge New Yorker makeup artist that is approachable for me. So there's a variety of ways to find them. And so when it comes to finding the photographer, I will show y'all. So let me switch this up because you're about to see on Twitch. You're about to see my screen. Yeah, it looked like a hot mess right now. Let me just smooth this over. So basically you can see, let me change it actually. Actually, no, I want to go here. So on my screen, in Instagram, this is where you're going to be missing out on a lot of things. On my screen, you can basically see my Chrome side of showing tabs and certain things that I will open up. Then I have an imagery, so we'll eventually at some point we'll talk about mood boards, and then you can see me, and then the hourglass title. So perfect. Okay, so that's all you can see. So basically what I'm about to show you is when you find that photographer or you find that model or makeup artist, whatever the works, again, whoever you are and whatever you do, just use what I say as a structure and then just delete some of the words and add in your own words that work and make sense for your career. For me tonight, I'm just going to stick with photographers and you'll just have to work with it and hopefully you will be able to understand what I'm talking about. So for me to find a photographer, first I have to find them, and I'm just gonna automatically put somebody that I know. And this is the fun part that I always love to hate. Basically, one of the love-hate relationships that I have with finding photographers and reaching out to them is finding their email. And the same goes with models. It basically is very unfortunate when people do not make their emails noticeable. At least for me. I like to hunt, or like I love to email people, like I said, and it's very easy when they give their email out immediately. Something super approachable. So that's why if you go on my Instagram or even my Twitter or even my Tumblr, I try to make my email like one of the first things that you see, so you have a way of reaching me. And if you don't, you can always message these people like a DM. But sometimes when you DM, they're not going to respond because they're either not going to check it or something else might happen. So we'll use Paul Tamayo for an example. Hopefully, I don't know if Paul ever watches my podcast, but hey, Paul, if you do, I'm using you. And so, so this is Paul's Instagram, and the first thing I look for is the email. So I'm reading his bio, and he's talking about his podcast show, which you should definitely check out, The Optional Podcast. I'm going to throw him in there since I'm using him. And the only thing he has is a link to the podcast site itself. There's no email. So Paul, no, I'm already disliking this. You don't got your email on there. So I'm just going to immediately go, because he has a link somewhere. So I'm going to go to the Optional Podcast. So it'll send me to the website. This is like but this is like promoting for Paul. I appreciate this. This is awesome. And of course my internet does not want to work. There it goes. All right. So this is the Optional website, and immediately on his website there is a link for the email address, and it says the email address on the bottom left corner. And so I will either just copy that or I'll click the thing. I already know it's going to take me to an actual like email message on Mac, so I don't really want to do that right now. But otherwise, I will just copy that message and send him something. So if the photographer or model already hands down doesn't have an email on, especially their website, for me, that's already like a super negative. Like, you need some way of reaching out to you, and that does not mean social media. That's not a reliable way of getting a hold of somebody, at least in my opinion. Everyone's different again. But if you don't have an email, please add your email. So Paul didn't necessarily have his on his Instagram page, but he appropriately linked his podcast, and of course, it appropriately had the email address. So that worked out perfectly. So I'm going to exit out. So from there, I basically, Instagram, my phone kind of turned. Sorry y'all on Instagram. It's going to be kind of tilted. You're just going to have to see me kind of sideways. Hopefully it ain't going to be too bad, you know. Because it's like, I need to find like a better way of like setting up my phone situation on this. But you're just going to see me at an angle. So once I have the photographer's email, I will start the process of emailing them. This is the fun part, right? The fun part. That's the worst. I was trying to book shows in Toronto, and so many promoters didn't have their email. I completely agree. There's even a few guests that I would love to have on my episodes, and guess what? They don't get emails, and I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to get a hold of you? Like, I could not. It was literally a rabbit hole. I would go to their website, nothing. Social media, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, nothing. I'm like, the fuck? So anyways, yes, it's very unfortunate sometimes. So when it comes to the emailing, this also still same idea can work with makeup artists and hairstylists. I will go say there's actually a makeup artist I've worked with. Her name is Ariana Draper. I will go on her Instagram and see if her Instagram links her email. If it doesn't, hopefully she links her website. I'll go to the website, and hopefully by that point, her website will have an email address somewhere on there. So once I get their email addresses, I will immediately send them a message usually. So this is the fun part for me, and I want to make sure everyone kind of understands. When you write an email to somebody, especially somebody that you're interested in working with or booking a gig with, be definitely be detailed on what you want and what you're doing, but customize it. make sure especially you put their name on it. I get tons of emails on a daily basis, and one of the biggest things I dislike as well, I promise I don't dislike a lot of stuff, but I can be very picky on the way I work and the way I perceive others when it comes to my job. So the biggest one is when they just say hi and then they start writing something. One, that's a red flag. I feel like you copied and pasted it. And I do not feel like you generally even know who you're typing it to in the first place, or sending this email to in the first place. So even the most simplest, like saying, hi, Paul, or hi, Shima, just writing that one name makes so much more of the difference, because I know you at least know who you're writing to, and this is not a dramatic copy and paste. Now, don't get me wrong. I've copied and pasted a shit ton of emails in my entire career. Why? Because especially for traveling, and say I'm on Model Mayhem and there's 50 photographers in Memphis, I'm not going to rewrite the entire message over and over and over again, because especially I'm most likely going to keep saying the same thing every time. But what I do, and I highly recommend it, but everyone's different and you can go your own way and float your own boat, I personally will always say hi and then leave space before the colon, yes, to write their name and make sure that I'm sending it to the right name, because that's actually honestly happened where I've accidentally sent the wrong name to the wrong person. Mistakes happen. Just gotta go with it. But yes, I will write their name, and then to even customize it more, to know that I at least have recognized who you are. And even though this is a copy and paste, majority, about like, let's say about 80% is copied and paste, I will add a 20% customized sentence saying, hey, I noticed you work with so-and-so model, or hey, I really liked this image of yours, and I'll link it to their Instagram page with one of the photos that I truly did like. Or, hey, Paul, I noticed your podcast and I really love how you talk about video games. Something that makes it obvious that I know who the fuck I'm writing to. It's just, I personally have gotten so many messages in my entire career that people just, it's an obvious copy and paste. And one of the red flags too is with copy and pastes is it can be an easy way to assume it's a scam as well, because scammers don't fucking care to customize it at all. So if you at least customize it, I'll at least now at that point know and understand, okay, there's a high chance you're not a scammer, so let me keep reading. But once you don't say my name, immediately I'm like already turned off. I'm like, nah, I don't really want to work with you because you've already made me feel like you don't even know who I am. Also, a little throw in though too, don't give these people you don't even know any pet names. Please don't. Especially if you're a male photographer and you're reaching out female models. Please don't. Just don't do it. Don't. Like, really highly, like, just don't. Because if you're going to do that to me, trust me, I will call you Big Boy. Or what friends, I was trying to think of, like, little pet peeve names that, like, Slick. Or buddy. I'll do it right back at you, because don't call me sweetheart, don't call me babe, don't call me any of that stuff, because that is literally the biggest pet peeve I have when it comes to emails, because that is just showcasing that you're trying to have like the higher foot into the conversation, and that ain't gonna roll smoothly with me. Trust me on that. Don't even go there, and if you do, just know you're not gonna get a response. And if you do, it's me just backlashing on you, saying, hey, please don't call me a pet peeve or a pet name. My name is Shima, and that's the name you need to call me by. And then maybe if I know you after like 5 years, then maybe you can call me, hey girl, what's up? And I'll be like, yay, whatever. Anyways, so I just want to throw that in there because I get that quite often as well. And so, okay, kind of like go off track, and I promise I always get back on track. So aside from that, writing the email. So let me just, I tried to plan this episode as best as I could, but sometimes a lot of these episodes I kind of wing it. So I'm going to try to wing this. So I'm not going to email Paul just in case I accidentally push send, and I really don't want to accidentally send Paul an email and him like, why did you send me this? So I'm going to send Francis a fake email, and if I accidentally send it, he'll understand. So a lot of times when I write emails to photographers or people that I'm interested in working with, I try to think of how I want them to see this email, because the first thing that matters is the subject. That's the first thing they're going to read. So a lot of times I like to immediately put model. I won't always put like uppercase, but I'll do model l.shima, and then I will write, say I'm going to New York City. So I'll write New York City, then my date. So I'll say July, we'll put my birthday, July 22nd, and then till July 25th. And then that will literally be what my subject is. So immediately they see it's a model, my name, that something's happening in New York City around July 22nd to the 25th. That's usually the gist that I send out to photographers. Sometimes it'll be different, depending on, again, what I am looking to do. Sometimes it won't have a travel notice. It'll more be like interested in shooting or booking information, or I got a current gig that needed a photographer. I don't know. It always depends. Again, be customizing as best as you can, and make it kind of stand out a little bit. So especially if they get countless emails, at least they see your name. That's the biggest. Especially if your email doesn't match your name at all that you go by, please write the appropriate name too. I've gotten a lot of emails where their emails don't match their names, and it's very confusing because I also do not know what to call them. And also, again, make sure you signature it with your name that you want to be called, because I'll also get a lot, especially through Model Mayhem, a lot of messages where they don't say what their name is, and I'm like, I don't know what to call you, so I'm gonna call you Big Daddy Photos, because that's the only name I see is your general name, and I'm just gonna call you that until you tell me your name is Edward. So please give them your name that you like to be called. And if you like to be called Big Daddy Photos, then something's weird with you, but hey, that's what you want to be called, and shoot, fine. So anyways, okay, back to it. So then once I've gotten the actual subject line, I will then start the message. So instead of me trying to talk and type at the same time, I already have it planned. So I'm going to use a previous hairstylist that I actually did work with in New York City to showcase what the writing was all about, as how I handled myself and what I did. So hopefully she doesn't mind me using her. She's super nice, and please don't just bombard her with freaking emails, please, because there's no way of me actually being able to hide it. So again, I basically said, hey, Marina, I hope this message finds you well. My name is Shima, aka Shima, or my name is l.shima, aka Shima, and I'm a full-time model. Feel free to check out my work on Instagram, and then I linked it. So again, something like that, it shows them, hey, this is what I do, this is my name, and also you can check out my work, especially if you do not know who I am at all. It's very helpful. So once you've gotten that down, it's very, very, very important that you make sure you at least link some type of work, either that be Tumblr, Instagram, your website. I would love to link my website, but I don't currently have one at this moment. It's getting made slowly but surely. So it's very good. And then I told her, I recently came across her work, and it's very inspiring. So aside from that, I decided, okay, now it's time to inform her why I'm reaching out to her in the first place. So I basically tell her I'm reaching out to you today because I will be shooting with numerous photographers, stylists, and artists while I'm in town. And then I gave her the date, such as, Michael, who's a photographer that we ended up working with, plus an entire team. I wanted to see if you were interested in collaborating on a variety of different photo shoots. I'm unable to pay a price for your services, although I can promote your brand once the photos are released. If this sounds like an arrangement you are interested in, I can provide additional details. All right. So everyone's different, again, like I said. But one of the biggest things, especially when it comes to working with others, is you need to establish the details of the shoot as best as you can. When I originally sent this email out to her, I didn't know what shoot I was honestly going to do. And I honestly didn't know what photographer I was going to work with her for. And besides, also, I didn't know if she was going to be available and even wanting to work with me in the first place. So I tried to be as detailed as I possibly could with what I already had. Aside from that, also one of the biggest things, and everyone, comes from a different place, and it's always understandable, but it always depends on how you approach it. So like I read, I didn't have the finances to pay her, and I mentioned that to her immediately. She could have downright said no, because I've gotten that. A lot of times I've gotten photographers and other team members saying, no, I can't do, free or trade shoots, but here's my rates. And I always understand, and I always can, appreciate them for that, for at least responding in the first place. I've gotten countless times where photographers can't handle that I can't do a free shoot for them, so they'll start rampaging on me. Whatever, that's their own loss. I honestly do not care. But when it comes down to what your budget is, be upfront about it. Don't try to beat around the bush. If you literally come at me and you say, hey Shima, I have a shoot that I want to do with you and I can only pay $50 an hour, I'm going to be honest with you. That is significantly lower than what I charge per hour. And if I realistically see something potential in your work, then I'll see maybe if I can work with it. Other times I'll be like, hey, I'm sorry, I can't do that. This is my current rates. If you're still interested, let me know. Be honest and be kind to them, and be prepared for them to say no. I personally have gotten a lot of people to say no to me, and again, it's understandable, and I never get mad at them for it. So just be aware of it. Again, like I said, she was very nice to, be fine with working with me on a trade agreement. But overall, that's kind of the gist of it. So I basically went from there. I sent her the email, and she did respond with her thoughts and asking for even more additional details. And so I ended up kind of going and discussing back and forth with her to try to set something up. At that time, again, I didn't know who I was working with when I was in the city, because I was also waiting for all of these other photographers to respond to me to let me know, hey, this is what's, available in my time, or this is not going to work at all. Or some of them were like, I can't know until a week beforehand, so give me some, a few weeks to let you know if we can actually work or not. And that's always very difficult, especially for me when I'm organizing the shoots. Be prepared to juggle a lot if you're going to be producing your own shoots. It's a lot of work, especially if you're looking to have not only the photographer, and you're going to also have the makeup artist and a hairstylist, the entire team. And just be prepared that everyone's schedule is going to be different. And some people won't know if they're going to be available until the next day, while others need to know 5 weeks in advance. You just gotta have to roll with it as best as you can. And a lot of times it ends up being a waiting game, especially when you have a lot of people on the team. If it is just me and the photographer, it's a little bit more smoother. I just go back and forth with one person. We nail down a date, we nail down a time, and we nail down a location. So once you've kind of established yourself and you've gotten somebody to agree on working with you, either that being paid or a trade, then you have to always make sure that you are both understanding what is going on and what the plan for the shoot is. So one highest example is making sure what the use of the photos are going to be for. Sometimes it might just be a website, sometimes it might just be for social media, other times it might be for like a magazine submission, or for an article, or for a client that's like Blick lighters, or it can be for a variety of things. But just make sure you both understand what the sole purpose is for the images. Because especially if you are a model and a photographer reaches out to work with you for trade, but then if they wanted to use the photos for their paid site, that is getting up to the model. But personally for me, the photographer is making money after I did something for free. That doesn't really work very well, and that doesn't really slide very nicely with me, especially if they never told me in the first place, because that has happened as well. So just make sure, photographers, models, everyone, you are communicating as best as you can what the final use of the images are going to be, because that just sometimes ends up happening. So I'm trying to like go in my thoughts and figure out how I honestly organize my life. So let's see, what do I want to show next? So okay, for the next thing is creating a mood board. So this is where on Twitch you have to look. Unfortunately, Instagram, I'm sorry, you're not gonna be really able to see. Actually, do I really want to like try? All right, we'll try this real fast. All right, let's hope my charger does not run away from me. Don't run away from me, charger. Stay there. All right. I know you've modeled in Detroit, Los Angeles, Florida, Miami, New York, and Toronto. Are there any other cities you've worked, and are some cities worse for booking than others? Good question. I have worked in a lot of random cities. Most Midwest and South. I've never been to the Pacific Northwest, so you already crossed those out, but I've been to California and Arizona. I'm trying to think of the United States. I've only worked in the United States and then a little bit in Toronto. I have not done Europe or any other country, and I would love to, but that's another day, another time. I've been to, let's see, Tennessee, Maine, actually, Boston. I've been to Boston, but I didn't. Nope. I've been to Boston, but I didn't book anything. And a couple other random, like, I've been to a lot of fucking states, I'm not gonna lie. As far as ones that are good for bookings and ones that are worse, everyone's different, actually. So an example, I traveled with a model a few years back, and she always got so many photo opportunities in Dallas, Texas. And I'm originally from Austin. Every time I would go to Dallas, it would be a storm. I literally would have a hard time booking anything in Dallas for some dang reason. And then aside from that, like for me, Los Angeles is always a huge city for me. New York is usually always a huge city for me too, but it's always, everyone in New York is last minute and it bugs me so deeply. But I always end up being completely overbooked in New York City. Another big city for me, shoot, I'm trying to think, because I haven't really done a huge travel trip in a very long time. It's hard to say. Everyone's going to be different, because especially depending on the model and what they look like, some cities don't, like, an example, Miami, really slender fashion models don't really do very hot in Miami. Miami really loves your, like, curvaceous, glamorous girls. And then, like, an example too, like, New York, very curvaceous, glamorous girls don't do necessarily as good in comparison to Miami. Everything's different too, again, take what I say with a grain of salt, but that's what I've noticed. So, yeah, pretty much. All right, let me turn this around real fast so you can see my my mood board. So this is my mood board for everyone on Twitch and eventually YouTube. It's going to be on the bottom right of the screen. So basically, this is again from New York City. I'm using that as more of my examples than anything else. I basically, to find inspiration and ideas for a shoot, the best place I go is on Tumblr. And then I do go to this website called Cali Cartel. It's very good. And there's other websites that you could probably find. I'm sure Pinterest can come in handy for that too, although I've never really used it. And I'm sure there's a few other ones. But overall, you can find inspiration everywhere nowadays, especially like on social media. So these majority I've gotten from Tumblr or also the website Cali Cartel. So I'm just going to go over it real fast and kind of just give you a gist. So when I was in New York City, I was kind of just gathering things that I thought were really cool, such as this was all black lace and, you know, some dark imagery, editing, black and whites, and just very like a dark, seductive, sultry kind of style. Then, don't go too fast. Let me get it to, okay. And then this one, I just liked that style of cutting the image into twos, but just the overall look of the girl using the mask and just, I don't know, the pose. And everyone's different, but I just kind of enjoyed the feel from that image. keep going. So this changes it up a lot. This one's a little bit more nightlife, still kind of a little bit dark and edgy, but a little adding color to it and having those moments of just being in a natural environment. This one, still to this day, I would love to do. Haven't found the right person to work with me on this, but I love the use of having a mirror in a landscape environment and how that kind of works, how it can cut the shape of the body and just make it really interesting and unique. And this one is like second kind of style of it. Wait, no, this one. This one's the second style of it. Next one, I just like that idea of being behind the scenes almost for an actual shoot. So having the hair still in curlers and, you know, getting like almost ready in a sense. Same kind of goes with this one. A girl just casually chilling on the makeup counter and just like whatever, just kind of in a sense. And then lastly, I'm just going to kind of end it here because I can go on for hours. The same kind of concept is bringing, you know, more of a neutral tone to it, kind of getting the pinks and, you know, certain textures into play. So on so this is what I'm seeing actually, everyone, on Instagram. So when it comes to the mood board, this is actually a site that's free and it's really easy to do. A mood board just basically consists of a collection of images and like textiles and clothing options that you might have that you can send to your clients. And so I'm not getting paid for this, so I'm literally just because I used mood board for my work, that's why I'm showing it to you. So basically, the site is called gomoodboard.com, and this is pretty much what it is. You can start off with like these templates right here, but I personally just most of the time just go for a blank mood board and work from there. So you can just drag and drop, or you can, you know, click to upload, whatever the case might be. So let's just say I want to do this image, and then let's say kind of go something with the same feel of that one. So same feel with that one. Let me see real fast. Let's say I want to do this guy, and then let's do some Rihanna to that. And then maybe this one since it has the same color scheme, and then this one. So overall, once it's complete, I can save and publish this, and it'll give me appropriate link so I can send the link to my clients to let them know, hey, this is the style of shoot that I'm looking to do, and hopefully see if they are on board with it and if they have any suggestions or thoughts or whatever the case might be. So an example, we'll bring back up Mariana real fast, and I sent her this one. So this is the mood board that I sent to her in the thoughts of working with. I don't know why it's not showing the actual whatever, it's gonna be that way. But basically you can kind of see that that image was in it as well, and a few other ones, especially you can barely see it, but like this was to show her what the hairstylist was going to look like. And then also this was about the makeup, how I wanted it very 90s glam in a sense. Same with this one. And it also lets you have these notes. So like this was reason for me having this image was because of the makeup reference. I liked the 90s style of it. This was the designer that I was working with, so wardrobe provided by Letitia. And this was her actual piece that she was going to bring to the shoot. And same thing goes with this one. Sorry that you can barely see it. I don't know why it's being that way. And same goes with this one. So, and then these are wardrobe pieces that I could provide on my own just in case, because you always have to have a plan B, just in case the designer doesn't show up or the makeup artist doesn't arrive on time. You have to be prepared just in case. So let me go back to something. Okay. So let me turn this around so you're not staring at absolutely nothing. So let me put it back on my face real fast. Sorry, everyone on Twitch is saying my armpit. Happens. That's life. So yeah, once you've gotten the idea of a mood board down and you have some inspirations, you go back and forth with the photographer to see what y'all both agree on. A lot of times, photographers will be like, I was looking for something with tits out. All right, and I would have to go back and see, is this well worth it? What can I do for me to benefit from it, especially if it's going to be a trade shoot? You highly always need to make sure that both of you are going to benefit, especially if you're a model. Definitely make sure you're getting what you want from the shoot. Don't play the nice card and be like, oh, okay, yeah, let's do that. Even though you truly do not want to do that. Don't be like super mean about it, but just be like, okay, yeah, we can definitely do tits out, but let's do also some fashion stuff as well, or whatever the case might be. This is your time, especially in emails, to communicate your thoughts as best as you can, and to be open and to be creative. If you're going to do, if you were going to do a shoot and produce one, you want to make sure at the end of the shoot itself, you're going to feel awesome that you took this time to reach out to the photographer, to reach out to the makeup artist, to set up a mood board, to organize the looks, whatever the case might be. You want to make sure that by the end of it, it's all worth that hardship of just time and effort, because it's a lot of work, honestly. And I've even produced shoots where it involved other models. That was a bitch. I will highly say that was a bitch. But it was good. I learned a lot, and it actually turned out some great images at that time in my career. So pretty much, yeah, create a mood board, just go back and forth and discuss the details of what y'all both are looking for. Same goes with location. Don't always assume the photographer knows the locations that y'all are going to shoot at. Sometimes they're not going to, especially if they're traveling photographers. They're not going to know as much as I know about Detroit. So I'm going to have to kind of amp up that and recommend some locations and send them appropriate links. Hey, this is Belle Isle, and then send them what Belle Isle has to offer. Or hey, there's this space, and if there's no photos from it, go drive or go take the bus or go walk to one of the locations and take a quick photo. Because the more imagery there is to show, the more easier it is for people to understand your vision, basically. Right. And again, everything I'm saying, use it as a structure. Photographers, same thing. Models, same thing. Okay. So overall, yeah, find inspiration, find the styles. Of course, a lot of shoots, some people are different, but don't try to copy it exactly. Try to do your own twist on it. So a lot of these mood boards that I send to these photographers and clients, majority of the time, the photos don't even look like what I sent them originally. Things happen, and things change, especially when you put a lot of people into one room. A lot of ideas are going to just start intertwining and mix up, and it's going to end up being something completely different. And sometimes it completely changes from what you set out to do. An example, I wanted to do a mirror shoot with a photographer in New York a while back ago, and that didn't even happen at all. It was actually like, I was a little PO'd about it, but overall I got the photos back, and the photos were amazing without the mirror. So kind of always be prepared for things not to go exactly to plan, and those usually end up being the best ever. So aside from that, make sure you organize your location and your dates. So with me, when it comes to organizing schedules and dates, I usually like to use Google Calendar. So I will literally just pull up the month of July. I have nothing booked, or at least I didn't show anything booked. And so I will literally just click, say I have a booking July 1st. I will click July 1st. I will create an event. Oh, no, what the fuck? I will edit an event and say I title it. I always title like photo shoot in all caps, so it reads immediately for me. Photo shoot with Paul. And then the dates, it's not going to be all day. So say it does start from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So that's going to be about 2 hours. And then if there is a location finally placed, I'll enter that address. And then I will write a description. So sometimes I will write, if it is a paid shoot, I'll write that it's paid and how much is the paying going to be. If it's a trade shoot, I won't even write about, money at all. And I will just describe it based on what I have available. Like, say Paul wants to do a 70s themed outdoor location with my hair up and crazy elaborate makeup. I'm going to write those details. And then I'm going to mark it in all red because that's something flashy for me. And then I'll save it. And that's pretty much, honestly, the end of what I do with Google Calendar. There's varieties of ways of scheduling and keeping track of your gigs, and that is always up to you, not the photographer, not the model, not the makeup artist, not whoever. It's always up to you to make sure you know what your schedule is and make sure that you're prepared for it, and make sure you're checking it too. Every time I travel, I make sure to check my shit like as often as I can, just to make sure I don't forget anything. And to be honest, I have forgotten, shoots before. I always catch it at least 24 hours beforehand. But yeah, there was a time this past New York trip where I accidentally double booked, and I totally missed that for some reason. And I felt so bad, and I tried to find a way to work with the same time slots, but there was nothing that I could have possibly done. So I reached out to the photographer, and I'm like, hey, this is the deal. This is what happened. I can reschedule with you, or I can find you a different model. And they ended up just saying, hey, don't worry about it. We're just going to cancel. Next time you're in New York, just let me know. And I immediately wrote myself an email to say, hey, when I get back to New York, email this person, because they're going to be the first person I schedule with, because I owe them one. So just be on top of your shit, honestly. Like, don't, I just woke up and I totally forgot. No, don't do that. That's so unprofessional, and no, just don't even go there. Or even if you knew you had a shoot and then it's a Saturday night and you decided, I'm gonna go have fun with my friends and go drinking, you can do that. It's free country, at least in America. Go ahead and go drink if you want, but remember, you have a shoot scheduled for the next day. Be prepared for it. I did that again last trip to New York. I went out and got drunk with some friends, and I knew I had a shoot, but I knew I had my first shoot didn't start until like 2 p.m. So I was like fine with going and getting somewhat drunk, and I knew that I would have to take the consequences of being drunk and possibly going to a photo shoot. And fortunately enough, I made sure like I didn't have like a crazy hangover by that point, and I cleaned myself up, and I made sure, again, I was ready. I was honestly like 3 minutes late because fucking train stations. But aside from that, I'm usually always on time or even earlier, and I was ready to like create shit. So just pay attention to what you're doing, and pay attention to your life, and nobody's babying you, but also nobody's watching you. It's all on you, and if you want to succeed in whatever artistic career you're in, you gotta pay attention. You're reminding me I need to check the inflation of my yes, you do. Of your tires? Yes, you do, actually. I should too, actually. See, you just gotta be on your shit. Anyways, okay. So, aside from organizing locations and the dates, if you are a model like myself, it comes time to pack your wardrobe, your makeup, and your hair. So, a lot of times if it is just me and the photographer by ourselves, I have to provide the wardrobe, the hair, and the makeup myself. Either I go to a salon and pay for somebody to do it, or I just do it myself. A lot of times it's me doing it myself. So again, models, if you gotta pack your own wardrobe, first make sure you know what you're packing. That's why I personally like to take images, selfies of a lot of my wardrobes way in advance and send it to the photographers so they know what I have and what fits and what it looks like on my body. When I first started modeling, I just honestly threw a whole bunch of shit that I thought would look good into a bag, and then the photographer didn't know what I had until I arrived at the shoot. And I know a lot of models do it that way, and that's, I wouldn't say perfectly fine, but that's okay. You get by and you work with it. But it's not, in my personal opinion, the best solution to figuring out wardrobe, because a lot of times something might not fit based on what the photographer was imagining. So I like to take selfies of me and send it to the photographers so they know what they're getting. And if they don't like a piece together, then they're going to tell me, hey, I didn't really like that hat with that outfit. Do you have a different hat? Or, hey, maybe not with the hat. Can we just do your hair up in a ponytail? It gives you more freedom to kind of work and be prepared for the shoot itself. And especially also pack like at least the day prior. Don't wait until the morning or till that moment. I've done that before too, and it's just really stressful and it's not fun. So just pack your shit way in advance. Even if there is going to be a makeup artist or a wardrobe designer, bring backup just, again, in case, because you never know. Sometimes the makeup artist might have an emergency right in the middle of the shoot and have to leave, and you're going to have to do your own makeup. Things happen. Be prepared for it. It sucks. It really does suck bringing a whole bunch of shit when you really don't need to. But it's better doing that than being shit out of luck in the middle of nowhere. Worst case, you can do a whole nude shoot, but for me personally, that's not my plan B. My plan B is to have my shit, and the nude shoot is like literally if the world is about to explode, then maybe. But yeah. Also for models, highly recommend it. You gotta eat something. Eat something. Seriously. I know a lot of girls, especially, and guys too, want to have a certain physique for their shoots, and it's understandable. I still want to have a certain physique for my shoots, but I also don't want to faint and cause health concerns for myself. So eat something. Bring snacks. If you're worried about like bloating, make sure you know what makes your body bloat in the first place and avoid it. There's lots of sites and other models that talk about like, avoid salt for 48 hours before a shoot so you don't have to bloat. Or, don't eat a whole bunch of dairy 24 hours prior because you're going to bloat. I don't know, or break out. Whatever the case might be, there's also ways of figuring out what food products is good for you right before a shoot. And also drink water and bring water. There's been times I've been dehydrated for shoots, and it's horrible. And it's just like, so I always bring literally my huge jug of water to every shoot. Do you ever have 2 shoots in one day? If so, what do you do if they need different hair and makeup look? Awesome question. You're always good with the questions. So yes, I've had 3 to 4 shoots in one day, and those are fucking horrible. The shoots themselves are great. It's just booking that much in a day is really ridiculously stressful and exhausting. So when it comes to booking shoots like that, an example in California, Los Angeles, I had this elaborate, and there's photos on my social media of me like in these poofed out little bun things, and then my makeup like super dramatic with a very dark lip. I did that in the morning, and then literally after that shoot, an hour after, I had a different shoot. And so first, because we talked about it, the photographer next, he told me what kind of makeup and hair he wanted. And when I already got this makeup and hair done for the first shoot, I didn't really want to take it off. So I immediately emailed him. I'm like, hey, I have this look on me, and I took a photo. Are you fine us shooting in this outfit or this face, or do you still want to stick with the original plans? And he told me, he's like, I honestly just want to stick with what we originally thought of. I'm like, all right. Honestly sucked for me, but at the same time, I'm like, that's totally fine. So what I did was just have makeup wipes, and I wiped my face off in the car, and then got as much makeup as I possibly could. And if there was like a restaurant or like a Wendy's somewhere, I would just go to the bathroom real fast, get some water, get some soap, and wash it off. Really bad for the skin, but sometimes you just gotta do it. Same for the hair. I just took off all the bobby pins and all the hair ties, and then it ended up being like this massive like poof. So I ended up trying to brush it out as best as I can. And if I had electricity where I was, I would have just plugged in my straightener and then straightened it out. Fortunately, he didn't really care about my hair as much. He just more was focusing on my face. So yeah, there's been times I have to immediately change the way I look or what I'm wearing immediately. And that's why it's exhausting to have back-to-back shoots. It's doable. It's just, it's really tiring. And I don't necessarily always recommend it, but when you're traveling, you have no choice and you kind of have to. Instagram might end soon, so I'm gonna probably refresh you real fast. Yeah, let me refresh you real fast. So give me a second, everyone, on Instagram. And actually, yeah, we're gonna end it. All right, you can share that bitch. All right, but we're gonna put this on. Okay, so do another one. It's gonna be a short one. So I don't know if I'll share this one. All right, and so back on Instagram. So, and then the last or second to last things I want to mention, because I'm kind of gonna wrap it up. Be on time. Seriously, that's one of the biggest pet peeves, and I actually just got that question on Tumblr earlier. What is my biggest pet peeves? Please be on time to all of your shoots, all of your gigs, all of your work, whatever the case might be. Try your hardest to be on time. I know things get in the way if you have kids, dropping them off, or if there's traffic and dealing with that. Whatever the case might be, I get it. Shit happens in life. But be prepared for those shit happening things. Example, Los Angeles for me. It's notorious of all the things I hear about Los Angeles traffic. What did I do when I scheduled all of my shoots? I made sure that there was at least an hour to an hour and a half wiggle room in between each shoot. So that gave me enough time to get to one location to the next. And I didn't lollygag in between. And if I realized, hey, I had 30 minutes to kill, awesome, I might be able to go get a smoothie real fast. But overall, be prepared for those shitstorm happenings. And when they happen, don't make it an excuse. Be like, hey, there was traffic, but hey, I'm still on time. Because that makes it so much better for everyone involved. I've gotten countless times photographers and makeup artists and hairstylists and other models be late to meetings and gigs. And by golly gosh, Francis knows that literally I really dislike it so much. Just don't be late. And if you're going to be late, let them know. Just inform them. Text them. Email them real fast. Hey, I'm going to be 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late. A lot of times I'll do that and I end up being right on time. It's really weird when that happens. But realistically, just let them know you're going to be late if that ends up being the circumstance. Because, again, shit happens. But just be professional about it because you just need, that's the biggest thing. I don't take pity on people that are late. And if you are late, literally if it's because your child is sick and you had to take them to the hospital. I get it. Things like that happen. But just let me know. Communication is the biggest thing, too. And then lastly, be ready. Again, if you know it's going to be a fashion shoot and you're going to wear all of this pink outfits and you don't have a wardrobe designer or stylist, make sure you have all the fucking pink outfits that you need to succeed at the shoot. Same with makeup artists. Makeup artists, I'm sure y'all already know, but make sure you have the appropriate makeup to make the shoot and the model look awesome. Especially foundation, for an example. I know nothing about makeup, so again, don't take my word exactly, but overall, from all the makeup artists I've worked with, make sure you have backup plans for certain foundation colors. Everyone's skin is different for obvious reasons, and sometimes you might think you have the right makeup blend, and you might not. So just be prepared for that too. And feel free, makeup artists too. If you ever reach out to me or you know you're going to be working with me, tell me that I need to bring my own foundation, just in case. I don't mind it at all. Just let me know so I can be prepared and ready. Same for photographers. I've had one shoot way back when I started. The photographer forgot the memory card. Got to the location, I was all ready, had all my wardrobe, put it on, got my makeup, had everything set on my side. Get to the space that we wanted to shoot against. Photographer didn't have the memory card. I know and I understand sometimes moments we forget, but if your job is to be a photographer, one of the two biggest things you need is a camera and a memory card. Make sure you have those two things. And when that happened, we just immediately rescheduled. I'm very easy to work with, but at the same time, when things like that happen, it's a pet peeve, and the professionalism level kind of slowly starts to die down. If you're late, or if you're not ready, or if you're being an asshole, or whatever the case might be, it starts to kind of die down. So, yeah, everyone, honestly, I think that's let me switch it over actually on Twitch. I feel like that's the gist of how I create my shoots. Every shoot for me is different. Some shoots aren't as heavily involved, such as getting a makeup artist and a hairstylist, while others I have to, bring a huge entire closet full of a suitcase. And same goes with everyone else, models, photographers, makeup artists, and all that fun stuff. Just be prepared, be understanding, be professional, especially be fucking professional. And just have fun with it, honestly. I feel like I was bashing some things in the head a lot in this episode, but overall, shoots and these gigs, you're supposed to have fun. If you're a musician and you go to to play at a venue, at the end you want to have fun. I know the process from the beginning to the end sometimes can be very hard and annoying, and you want to rip your hair out sometimes. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure it was fun, it was enjoyable, it was an experience, and something that you just can smile about 50 years from now and remember those moments. The New York trip. Like I said, a lot of my New Yorkers, for some reason, they wait to the last minute. But every time I think of New York, I still, most of the time, I usually have these positive feelings towards it because I tried my hardest to have fun with every shoot and every gig and every travel that I've done as best as I can. And I will always remember the negatives. Of course, there's some moments that I literally was waiting for a bus at midnight and it was freezing cold and I had no gloves on and my hands were icicles and I really hated that moment. And things like that honestly happen, but you know, you look back on it and it was kind of silly and funny at the same time. So yeah, that's honestly how I produce my shoots. Again, everything's different. Sometimes it's different, and they involve different things. Sometimes I don't even make mood boards. Sometimes I don't pick the locations. Sometimes I don't pick the dates. Sometimes I don't control anything. Sometimes like I literally am just the model and the photographer is doing all of the work. Just communicate with who you're working with and y'all can figure out what is, you know, what somebody's capable of doing and bringing to the table. And make sure you find people that are willing to work with you. You don't want a model that is literally not going to do their part of the end. You don't want to rely on them because like you're not going to go anywhere with that and vice versa. So just have an understanding of who you're working with and just kind of, yeah, have fun with it overall. If you have any questions, go for it right now before I end because we're a little past it. But yeah, go for some questions if you need it. Well said. Again, applies to performing. Also, when is the episode with you and your sis? So my sister, I'm not going to have any guests up until that moment because I just don't want to deal with finding guests. For the obvious reasons of like emailing. My sister will be on July 19th. She will arrive to Detroit on the 18th and she'll be spending that week with me on my birthday. So the episode with my sister will be on the 19th. Don't miss it. You're gonna get to see me and my sister and it will be, I don't know, hopefully interesting. I'm not really sure. And I didn't get lipstick on my teeth. This is amazing right now. This is like an accomplishment in my life. You are stunning and the photos you post are spectacular. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. No, seriously, I do appreciate it. I like compliments. Compliments are always nice, right? I would imagine. Alright, any questions? Any last questions before I see you next week and all that fun stuff? Bueller? No? Alright, everyone. Well, that's it. That's the wrap. Sorry, everyone, for Instagram having to restart and then also Twitch for freezing because that's just life and that happens. Alright, everyone. I will see you next week. And yeah, there's nothing really else to share. So, oh, wait, final question. Any male models that you're a fan of? Oh, no. I'm sorry. No, I honestly don't really follow male models as much. So I feel bad, but yeah, I don't necessarily have like favorites. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I will do some research maybe this week and maybe I'll maybe Google some names, but I don't necessarily. Sorry, male models. I literally don't mean it in a bad way. I honestly don't follow male models. I don't know why. And it's not my world, honestly. I'm not a male, and I just don't, I don't know. Your body is not similar to my body. Or maybe it is, but anyways, nonetheless. All right, y'all. See ya. Bye, everyone on Instagram and video. Wait, didn't end it. Damn you. End it. Okay. And then everyone on Twitch and YouTube and SoundCloud, thanks for tuning in, and hope you enjoyed. And yeah, so I'll see you next week.